In the depths of Michigan's forests, where pine trees stand like sentinels and winter blankets the land in icy silence, the legend of the Dogman was born. The first whispers came in the late 19th century, in northern counties like Wexford and Manistee, where lumberjacks and hunters told stories of a creature that belonged neither to the world of men nor to that of animals. Described as a 7-foot-tall being with the muscular torso of a man, the hind legs of a wolf, and a canine head full of sharp teeth, the Dogman wasn't just a predator. It seemed intelligent, almost human in its movements. Its eyes, they say, glowed like amber in the darkness, and its cry was a sound that froze the blood, a howl that began animalistic and ended in a spine-chilling human scream. The indigenous peoples of the region, like the Ojibwe, already spoke of wild spirits that inhabited the forests, beings that could shapeshift and punish those who disrespected the land. Some believe the Dogman is an echo of these stories, perhaps a vengeful guardian or a soul lost between two worlds. But the legend took on a life of its own in 1887, when two lumberjacks in Wexford County swore they saw the creature chasing an elk. They described it in detail: shaggy black fur, claws that tore into the earth, and a gaze that made them drop their tools and run. Since then, sightings have popped up on the dark roads of the Upper Peninsula, in the swamps of Muskegon, even along the shores of Lake Michigan. What breathed new life into the legend was a song in 1987 written by Steve Cook, a radio DJ from Traverse City. The legend told the story of the Dogman as a joke, but soon the station's phones were ringing with listeners saying, "I've seen it. It's real." Cook received dozens of reports, some from decades earlier, others recent, all with a pattern. The creature appeared in cycles every 7 or 10 years, as if obeying an invisible clock. Today, with grainy videos and blurry photos circulating online, the Michigan Dogman is more alive than ever. A mystery that blends ancient folklore with modern terror, waiting in the shadows of the northern forests. And now I'll tell you 5 of these stories. Real accounts, straight from those who looked into the amber eyes of the Dogman. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Our first account comes from the Manistee National Forest in Michigan in the fall of 1997. Robert Fortney, a 42-year-old experienced hunter, was camping alone near the Muskegon River, waiting for dawn to track deer. It was a cold October night, and Robert was by his campfire, his rifle at his side, when he heard something strange: heavy, rhythmic footsteps coming from the darkness beyond the trees. He thought it was a bear, common in the area, and stood up, his hand on the grip of his gun. But what emerged from the shadows wasn't a bear. It was a tall creature, over 2 meters high, with the body of a man, but covered in shaggy black fur. Its head was that of a dog, long snout, pointed ears, and its eyes glowed amber, fixed on Robert. He froze, his heart racing, as the thing stood there on its hind legs, breathing invisible puffs in the cold air. Then, it made a sound, a howl that started like a wolf's and ended in a high-pitched human scream, echoing through the forest. Robert raised his rifle and fired a shot into the air, hoping to scare it off. Other animals would have fled, but not this creature. It stood still, staring at him for another long moment, before turning and running into the trees, moving on 2 legs with a speed no human could match. Robert spent the night awake, his rifle on his lap, listening to the heavy silence that followed. The next day he found footprints in the damp ground, large, clawed, bigger than any wolf or bear tracks he'd ever seen. He never hunted alone again. "I know what I saw," he told a friend years later. "And I know it let me live." Our second account took place on Route 31, a winding road that cuts through the rural counties of western Michigan. It was midnight on September 14, 2003, and Jeff Mulder, a 35-year-old mechanic, was driving his Ford F-150 pickup truck back home to Ludington after fixing a tractor at a nearby farm. The rain had stopped, leaving the road shiny and slick, and Jeff was alone, with the radio crackling on a local station. That's when he saw something ahead, crossing the road in long, deliberate strides. It was a tall figure, over 2 meters, high, with the body of a man but covered in dark, wet fur that glistened under the headlights. Its head was canine, with pointed ears and a snout that steamed in the cold air. Its amber eyes reflected the light like mirrors, locking onto Jeff. As he slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching against the asphalt. The creature stopped in the middle of the road, staring at him, and then opened its mouth. A howl came out, starting low and ending in a human scream that made the truck's windows vibrate. Jeff said he felt the sound in his chest, like a punch. In a panic, he threw the truck into reverse, but the creature didn't chase him. It simply stood there, its eyes glowing, before turning and disappearing into the trees beside the road, moving on 2 legs with impossible agility. Jeff drove straight home, his heart in his throat, and only returned the next day with a friend to check the spot. On the edge of Route 31, they found footprints in the mud, large, clawed, leading into the woods. The truck's radio never worked properly again after that night. "I don't know what it was," he told a coworker, "but I know it wasn't a wolf." Our third account takes us to Muskegon State Park in western Michigan during the Memorial Day holiday in 2010. 3 friends, 28-year-old Kyle Bennett, his girlfriend Sarah, and her brother Mike, had set up camp near Lake Muskegon, enjoying the long weekend. It was the night of May 29th, and the group was laughing around the campfire, the smell of toasted marshmallows in the air. Around 11 at night, the crickets stopped chirping, and a heavy silence fell over the woods. Kyle grabbed a flashlight, joking that it was a bear, but what they heard wasn't a bear. Heavy footsteps echoed through the trees, and a figure emerged at the edge of the campsite. It was tall, over 2 meters high, with the body of a man covered in shaggy black fur. Its head was that of a dog, with amber eyes that glowed against the beam of Kyle's flashlight. Sarah grabbed Mike's arm as the creature stood there, breathing in visible puffs, its clawed hands flexing as if testing the ground. Then, it made a sound, a howl that started like a wolf's and turned into a human scream, so loud that all 3 of them felt their ears ring. Kyle shouted at it to go away, throwing a piece of wood in its direction. The thing didn't back off. It took a step forward, its eyes locked on them, until Mike grabbed an iron skillet and banged it against a pot, making a loud metallic clang. That seemed to work. The creature turned and ran into the woods, moving on 2 legs with a speed that knocked branches out of its way. The group spent the night in their tent, hearing occasional footsteps in the distance. The next morning, they found large, clawed footprints around the campsite, some so deep they seemed to have been made by something much heavier than a man. "We laughed about it later," Sarah said in an online post, "but none of us went back there." Our fourth account takes us to Michigan's Upper Peninsula, near Marquette, during the harsh winter of 2015. It was January 12th, and Tom Erickson, a 39-year-old forest ranger, was riding his snowmobile along an isolated trail in the Hiawatha National Forest, checking fur traps after a snowstorm. The sky was clear, the full moon reflecting off the snow, when Tom heard something that made him stop, a howl unlike any he'd heard before, deeper and more drawn out than the wolves in the area. He turned off the engine, the silence enveloping him until he saw a shadow moving among the pine trees. It was a massive creature, over 2 meters tall, standing on its hind legs. Its body was humanoid, covered in black fur that contrasted with the snow, and its head was that of a dog. Long snout, alert ears, amber eyes glowing like headlights. Tom froze as the thing stared at him, its clawed hands gripping a nearby tree, tearing off chunks of wood like it was paper. Then it took a step forward and made a sound, a howl that turned into a human scream, so loud that snow fell from the branches around them. Tom panicked and tried to start the snowmobile, but the engine sputtered as if something was holding it back. The creature took another step forward, its eyes locked on him, until Tom grabbed a flare gun from his belt and fired it into the sky. The red light exploded in the air, and the thing hesitated, growling low before turning and running into the woods, knocking down bushes with brute force. The snowmobile finally started, and Tom sped home, his heart in his throat. The next day, he returned with a colleague and found footprints in the snow, large, clawed, stretching for nearly a kilometer, before disappearing abruptly. "I felt like it let me go," Tom told a group of hunters later. "But I also felt like it owns that place." 4 encounters in the dark forests of Michigan, a hunter in Manistee, a driver on Route 31, campers in Muskegon, a ranger in the Upper Peninsula. All saw the same thing: a 7-foot-tall creature, amber eyes, a howl that turns into a human. Scream. But what is the Michigan Dogman? A mutant wolf, lost in the northern wilderness. A spirit from Ojibwe legends, guarding the land that was once theirs. Or something science can't yet explain, a predator that chooses when to hunt and when to let go. The accounts echo across decades, from lumberjacks to modern drivers, each feeling that it's not just an animal, it knows who we are. The E. Truth remains in the shadows of the pines, but one thing is certain. The Dogman is still out there, and Michigan keeps its secret. So if you hear a howl you can't explain or see eyes glowing in the night, maybe it's best not to stop and look. Leave a comment. Do you believe in the Dogman, or is it just folklore? Have you ever heard something strange in the woods? Subscribe for more stories that will make you rethink the darkness, and until next time, be careful what prowls the forests.